Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Welcome back to r/ProRevenge, where you'll hear stories about people getting exactly what they deserve, my friends. Guys, I hope you're having a lovely day today. And in this episode, you'll hear two stories. So the first story is a super satisfying story where OP gets back at a PayPal scammer. If you guys have ever been in a situation like this, I promise you will be all smiles. The second story, OP basically ruins a coworker who takes office pranking to the point where she has to be taught a lesson. My friends, I do hope you enjoy the stories today and do hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. Let's dive in. So, almost a couple of years ago, I had a guy that emailed me back and forth for months looking to buy an arcade machine. Now, he was pretty cool, but picky beyond belief and couldn't decide on what he wanted. Finally though, he ordered this ultra deluxe 4-player arcade machine wrapped in Star Wars graphics. He spared no expense, spending $3,000 plus $220 shipping. The machine arrives 5 days later and he calls me up just fuming. It's been damaged by the freight company. Now, I send everything fully insured, so I assured him it was okay, that he's covered. I told him to please send me the pictures of the damage. It was only very minor, nothing cosmetic, but the console was a little dislodged as they must have stacked something heavy on it. I assured the customer it could be fixed. I'll contract a cabinet maker to come out to him and repair it at my expense. Then I'll go through insurance later. But nope, he did not want that. I told him okay, I'll arrange for collection and have it brought back to me, and I'll issue him a full refund including freight. But nope, he did not want that either. I asked him, what would make you happy then? It's something easy to fix. Perhaps I can pay you what I'd pay the contractor, about $250, and you can fix it. But no, he wanted a full refund, and he wanted to keep the machine too. I told him, that's not gonna happen. Insurance won't allow it as the damage is tiny. It's like car insurance. They won't write off a whole car for minor damages that can be fixed. But he did not care. He wanted a full refund. I said they won't do it, and I certainly will not pay out of pocket. Either I'll arrange for collection of the unit at my expense and issue a refund to him, or we have it repaired. Once again, he said no. He paid through PayPal, and he's putting through a dispute because the item did not arrive as described. I advised him that PayPal's rules also state that in order to get a refund, he'll need to show proof that he'd sent the item back, or arranged with the sender to have it collected. And again, no. He's keeping it and getting a refund. So I advised him that what he was committing was fraud and theft, and also that PayPal will freeze the $3,200 in my account, and I am not at fault here. That's what PayPal does, you see. If anybody lodges a dispute, they automatically freeze the funds in the seller's account. It's guilty until proven innocent with them. It can also take up to 90 days to resolve, sometimes 6 months. I know because it's happened before. The guy didn't care. The next thing I knew, I had a notification from PayPal. The funds were frozen pending the dispute. The next step is stating your case to them, providing evidence, etc., where they relay the info back and forth between the buyer and the seller. PayPal almost always sides with the buyer. Sellers, as far as they're concerned, are low-life scum. If it can't be resolved between the buyer and seller, then you can opt to have PayPal decide, but their decision is absolute. Now, I provided my transcripts advising the customer that I'd collect the item and refund him, and he provided them with a fake pickup receipt. As far as they knew, he's done his part and now he's eligible, so they ruled in his favor. So now this stupid idiot has his money back and my $3,000 arcade machine. I was fuming, and he wouldn't answer my calls or emails. Now, I'm a big guy and had a rough upbringing in a tough neighborhood, so I was about to jump in my truck, drive the 900 kilometers south, knock on his door, and repossess my machine. But my wife, being the voice of reason, calmed me down and said to try legal avenues first. Coincidentally, he emails me 3 days later and says the computer in the machine stopped working. I replied, okay dude, which planet do you live on where you steal an item, then contact the person you stole it from, and complain that it doesn't work? He sends me an LOL in return and says he has an IT guy. A few days after that, I get a call from a guy saying that his friend bought an item and the hard drive is dead. It was his IT guy, and I don't think he knew the whole story. I asked him to find the serial number. He reads the number out loud and I say, oh, it's in warranty. Send it back and I'll send a fresh new one. He bought it and sent it back. Now, note that he said the hard drive was dead, and that's a good thing. If it had been the computer, he could just use anything else and use the hard drive as a backup. But since it was dead, and now that I had his computer too, he has to buy a new system, which would set him back at least $450, but he still couldn't play games in it. So the IT guy calls me a few days later asking for the computer, and I told him the story and that nope, he can go pound sand. He also laughed out loud and asked how hard could it possibly be to just download stuff. See, what he didn't know is that I have a little failsafe built in. The encoder I used isn't mapped to the default keys on the apps. I changed everything around on the hardware just to stop people from trying to clone it. It's not hard to get around, but most people are not familiar with the nuances of emulators. Inevitably, I get another call a few days later from a different guy saying that he'd built his own machine, but he couldn't get it working. It was definitely the IT guy fishing for solutions. I played dumb and said that I don't know, sorry. So now the buyer basically has an empty, useless cabinet, so he left me a 1-star review that read something like, "Poor build quality, flimsy system, doesn't work, do not buy from these people." I was about to jump in my truck again and drive down to him, but again, my wife is like a bucket of ice water to my fire. So I wrote a long letter to PayPal attaching all of my evidence of his fraud. Then I responded to the 1-star review with attachments to the emails and his admission to committing to fraud. Also, I displayed his name and email address to smoke him out. He immediately called and said, "Look, no hard feelings, okay, but I received a damaged item and I'm entitled to compensation. Remove my details." He was getting spammed relentlessly, but he seriously believed that he did nothing wrong. I told him to go screw himself and to go enjoy his useless machine. Now, I forgot about it for weeks. PayPal did not respond, so I cut my losses and moved on. But then, something beautiful happened. It's as though the universe aligned and said, "Hey, we're not gonna crap on you today. Here, take this gift on a silver platter." So, I was on eBay looking for old non-working machines that I can buy and refurb, and he has listed my machine. But contrary to his review, the description said, "Marvelous hand-built arcade cabinet, built by a master carpenter, flawless finish and quality, missing computer. Good for DIY project." He had listed it for $1,100. That was still $1,100 of pure profit to him since he got it for free. I bought it under my wife's account and had it delivered to my home address. When I had sent it, it was wrapped in about a 4-inch thick layer of bubble wrap. When he sent it, it had a flimsy single layer less than 5mm thick. The person who dropped it off was the same guy who picked up from me, so we were good friends and he knew the story. So I said I was gonna damage it, make it look serious, but nothing I can't fix in a few minutes. He agreed, and said that he logged the damage as due to insufficient packaging. Insurance won't cover it. I knocked the panels out from the inside, so it looked like the machine had been crushed. Realistically, I only had to reset the screws and it was as good as new, but it looked mangled. Then I sent the idiot the pictures and complained about the damage. He said it was insured. I advised him that the courier said it was insufficiently packaged and that it's not covered. I told him I want a refund. Take this back. Now, I knew that he would not take it back as it was totally useless to him. He said he did not want it and he'll refund the freight. I told him, nope, I can't do anything with a damaged machine. If he doesn't do anything, I'm filing a PayPal dispute under the item not being as described. Now, he wasn't happy. He played the victim, played on my sympathy, still not realizing who I was. Eventually, after offering me partial refunds and getting rejected, he relented and told me to just keep it, and he'd refund me in full. He must have realized that his greed wasn't worth it and cost him nothing. So now, I had my machine back and I was happy with getting this over with. But I was still pissed at this guy's audacity, but meh, that's not the end though. It gets better, and oh, does it get deliciously better. So someone at PayPal Business had finally read my complaint. Since I do a lot of work through PayPal under a business account, there's kind of a concierge service, although not really. It's kind of like a priority service. They actually went through my complaint, verified that his pickup docket was actually a year old and unrelated, and read the transcripts of him intending to keep the machine and get a refund. They refunded my money in full. Now I had my machine back and $3,000 of his money, and he couldn't do anything because he got caught for fraud. Can't dispute it if you got caught being dishonest. So this guy ends up calling me losing his mind. I laughed and said, "Sorry, it's karma. Go suck a doorknob." He pleaded and begged, swore a lot, pleaded some more, and I said I'll think about it. Legally, he has no leg to stand on. What I did next, though, drove him absolutely crazy. I took the money and donated it all to charity on his behalf. I sent him the receipt, and I swear he went ballistic. But now there's kids with food and clothes because of him. Guys, this has got to be one of the most satisfying stories that I've read in a long time. And honestly, this isn't even revenge, it's straight up justice. I love nothing more than a good story about a scammer getting what they deserve, and the fact that it ended so wholesomely, is that a word? Where OP donates the money to charity. Bravo, sir. Bravo. Oh, and he did post a picture of what the arcade machine looks like. Take a look at this. How cool would it be to have one of these in your house? So, at the time, I was a 27-year-old, 7-year veteran at a large tech corporation. The senior copywriter went on mat leave, leaving a temp in her place. Although irritating in a non-descriptive way, she presented well and seemed able to do her job. For later context, she was also an uber dog lover and a staunch and righteous vegan. So, at our workplace, there were frequent, mutual, and innocent team pranks. Things like replacing a box of Diet cookies with a box of Krispy Kremes, or bringing in a box of Krispy Kremes but having a vegetable platter in the box, or covering the laser on someone's mouse, those kinds of things. Harmless things. It was mostly stuff where you'd get a good laugh or be able to fix real quick and then get back to work. Being desperate for acceptance, the new temp started taking things a bit far and seemed to focus pranks directly towards me since I was there the longest. Even after a few subtle reprimands from our manager, she continued. Things like putting explicit photos or comments into a PowerPoint presentation that I was about to give in front of a room full of executives. Her novelty wore off fast. So, fast forward to the morning after my birthday. She knew that I was going to be hungover, so I get to my desk red-eyed and thirsty as hell. I had a bottle of water at my desk and started to chug like it was going to save my life. And it was straight vodka. At least 2 full swallows before I realized. I go straight to the garbage bin to hurl. I got most of the vodka out, but already being hungover, it made me instantly drunk again. I was not impressed. She came in laughing her brains out, taking full claim. Now, I did not narc on her, but the story made its rounds to HR and she was given a stern warning. I would have accepted an apology, even remorse, but not a shred. In fact, she began calling me Pukey McGee to literally nobody's fanfare. I let it pass for a few weeks, waiting for the attention to die down, and then planned my revenge. She always left at 10 a.m. to get Starbucks. I took this time to plaster lost dog posters anywhere outside the office that she might stumble by on her way back. Now, being an avid dog lover, she fell for the bait, asking around but nobody was the wiser. Once she was cozy at her desk, I went to her car to stage a hit-and-run massacre, with chunks of fatty steak, a liter of fake blood, an old leash and collar, and a bag of fake fur. I went to work. It looked pretty convincing. It looked like a leash was caught around her rear passenger axle, and the dog got clogged and shredded between the tire and the wheel well. I left the collar dangling out of the back with a generous puddle of fake blood. It didn't take long before the others noticed the lost dog posters, or the gory car, and put 2 and 2 together. Eventually, the owner of a white so-and-so with the license plate such and such, please come to reception. It's on, and it was delicious. She was out in the parking lot sobbing so hard that she was coughing, carefully placing chunks of steak and fur into a box. It took her about an hour to gather every precious bit, and she was crying the entire time. My theory was that she wanted to return the dog to its owner as best she could before calling the number on the poster. Now, I want to remind you that there was no owner or dog, but she was too distraught to realize that it was fake. I thought for sure the lack of bones or guts would have been near instant giveaway, but to my utter shock, it wasn't. She had the collar and leash cleaned and posted posters of her own in hopes of finding the owner. Given her reputation, there wasn't much sympathy offered. I took every chance I could to remind her that she took away somebody's beloved pet. She took down all of her gaudy dog lover crap off her desk and kept very much to herself for the remainder of her term. A bonus was that she even left early, but not sure if I can take credit for that for certain. My friends, that revenge prank is stone cold. So, it's very rare that I feel bad for people in these revenge stories, but when I read that she was crying so hard that she went into a coughing fit, I couldn't help but to feel bad. But hey, she could have cost OP his job twice. Once for slipping explicit photos into a PowerPoint presentation in front of executives, which is absolutely insane, and the other time for making it seem like OP brought a bottle of vodka to work disguised as water. I still have no idea how she didn't realize it was fake meat and blood though. I mean, yeah, in the moment, she might not have, but OP said he used chunks of fatty steak and fake fur. I can't imagine it being as convincing as he made it sound though, but hey, you never know. You never know. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our /ProRevenge. Guys, if you enjoyed the stories today, do hit that thumbs up. And if you missed the last episode of our /ProRevenge, I'll link it right here. OP's mother marries a horrible man who made his life a living nightmare, and he gets sweet, sweet revenge at the end. My friends, check it out if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you.